Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial.
Coming in hot. I'm coming in hot. We're doing a show this morning. Hi.
Hello.
I'm bringing a lot of energy today.
I know. I'm trying to match. I'm trying to match your energy.
I'm bringing you with me. Bringing you with me,
Let's
Tweed.
do this.
Let's go.
Stop miming me.
Am I miming?
Yeah, you're pulling me. You're pulling me with an invisible
What they said.
rope.
Well, what I read is that miming is real good for podcasts.
Oh yeah.
People
Yeah.
that's the best.
I'm
when
sure.
you mime on a podcast.
Yeah.
How are you?
You always ask me that. Get a new question, Emily.
God, I feel like it's just that's the question you
I know,
ask.
because you know what? Despite the fact that I saw you every single day this week, I have not seen you.
I know. I got here this morning, guys, and was basically like, let's go.
Right.
We're doing the thing. There's no time to talk.
But we've crossed paths every day, yet we've still somehow don't even know what's going on with one another.
I know. Who
What's
are we?
happening?
I know, but we did accomplish planning a vacation.
Yeah.
We did that.
Don't tell anyone.
It's not soon. It's happening in a while. Don't tell anyone. So we did accomplish that. We've talked enough. So we talked enough.
Yeah, to get that done.
To get
'Cause
that
we had to
done.
have that done so that we could survive the week.
Yeah, because sometimes you just need that little carrot, even if it's like a way down the road carrot. I guess I'm glad to know that you're fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And you're also mad about my selection of choices. So things are the same.
Selection of choices.
My selection of questions that I ask you.
Oh, no. Never mad, Emily. Never. Do you know what I learned last night?
Tell me.
So, my husband and I, before we were falling asleep, as you do, we're talking about armadillos.
You guys.
And then this brought up a lot of questions, armadillo-related questions, because my husband maintains that when we were in Walt Disney World,
Okay.
he saw an armadillo.
Yeah. I don't think that would be out of the ordinary.
In Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I will tell you, I've seen one armadillo in the wild.
Uh-huh.
And it was when I was younger and on a trip to Florida.
Uh-huh.
It was it was at one of the places we went to in Florida. I want to say it was when we were at NASA.
Uh-huh.
Because we went there. That was the worst. Oh my God.
NASA? No space camp for you?
No space camp for me. We went there because you can go visit. And we never really went on vacations when I was a kid. But we went on a big vacation when I was a freshman in high school. And we went to Florida. And we did the thing.
Okay.
We
the damn thing?
We did the damn thing. We went to Walt Disney World.
Okay.
We went to Universal Studios.
We went to Armadillo Park.
And we went to Armadillo Park, a.k.a. NASA. And when we were there was like a thing that had a tree in it, like a big planter with a giant tree in it.
Inside.
In NASA. I think it was NASA.
I don't know what that means, in NASA.
Like, it's outside, but it's like, a pavilion. I don't know.
All right.
I have a very vague recollection, but but I recall an armadillo in the wild, and like people.
So you were
like,
outside
gathered
and there was
looking
a tree. That's not special.
but there was an armadillo, and that was special.
Okay.
Yes. So your husband maintains he saw an armadillo in Disney, and I see nothing out of the ordinary about that.
Disney gets rid of mosquitoes. How would they let an armadillo in?
I don't know.
Also, did you know that armadillos can weigh between 8 and 66 pounds?
No! That's like a sizable dog.
That's like a big kid.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you saw a
My dog, so you know my dog, the dog you don't like.
Yes.
She's 60
that
pounds.
one.
She's 60 pounds.
Yeah, I know. Right. I think my nephew's 66 pounds. I don't know. Probably less.
But are they just fat or are they big?
Well, I assume it's their tough leather skin. I don't know.
That skin is heavy.
But Randy said that he was like, no, they're like the size of squirrels. And I was like,
yeah, the one I met was.
You didn't meet it.
Yes, I did.
It's not the size of a squirrel. They're more like skunks or opossums.
No, the one I met was small. And I saw another one. I've seen them before at
They said that,
zoos.
well, anyway, you're wrong because
Okay, expert on armadillos.
Yeah, because I learned a lot of facts last night.
Okay, spit them.
They're like the size of a cat,
Okay,
which is bigger than a squirrel.
maybe I saw a baby one.
A baby Nassau armadillo.
A really smart baby armadillo. That was just chilling on the campus of NASA.
I was like, hey guys,
what's up?
what's up? I've got to go to space. I'm a space armadillo.
Space armadillo. It's funny because thinking like I have to go to space. In my mind, he's carrying a briefcase. But why do you need a briefcase in space?
He's a business armadillo.
A fine business armadillo.
He has to bring his calculator and his paperwork.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay, well, I'm glad you and your husband were talking about armadillos last night.
Yeah, I mean that's the most exciting thing that's happened this week.
I mean, I'm here for it. So yesterday was my son's birthday.
Yeah, how was that?
So it was good. I mean, he had a good time. This is like birthday weekend, so we got a lot of stuff happening. That's why I'm coming in hot today because there's just a lot of things happening. I got a lot of stuff to do, and
well, guess what else I think happened to me this week?
What?
I think my cough is coming back.
Oh God!
I spent
canceling the podcast.
I spent a substantial amount of time in a very old building this week, and after being in there halfway through the day, I developed a dry cough, and I can only assume that asbestos has riddled my lungs with holes and debris and caused me to be on my deathbed very soon.
I was at the same old building,
yeah.
spent a substantial amount of time at that same old building this week. And someone else who was working there pointed out, looked up in the rafters and there was all this chipping paint up there. And she was just like, I just pointing this out to someone because I feel like you're going to check in with all the people who've been here 10 months from now. We're all going to have some kind of weird cough.
Yeah. Well, mine's already started.
Great. Well, but you're also you're like a fainting lady from Victorian era.
I am not.
Who gets caught with the consumption.
I'm robust.
You have to lay down.
I will lay down, but not because of my consumption.
Even those Victorian books where there's always someone who's a little ill, like someone's always taken ill, and that's a character trait of a woman.
Beth in Little Women.
Yeah, she's always ill.
Well, she dies. Well. Spoiler alert.
Well, I hope the same doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, but I can't say it won't because
Well, I'm sad about your cough, mostly for me because when we're doing a podcast, it gets real annoying.
Yeah. Well. Here's the thing. It comes and it goes. And yesterday, all of a sudden at the office, it was going crazy and someone thought I was choking. And it was a whole thing.
Did someone Heimlich you?
No, but they yelled from their office with concern. I had to be like, I'm fine!
Well, my understanding is that if you're actually choking, you're not making any noise.
No, yeah.
And that's the thing. That's what
I didn't say they were a smart person. I just said it was a person.
Well, great. Good to know that if we're ever dying, that there's people around.
Well, they weren't in the medical profession, okay?
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, do we want to talk about a movie?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Well, here's the thing, Kim.
Oh, no. What?
So, I'm accountable.
Oh, shit.
I'm accountable.
You didn't do it.
No, I did.
Okay.
But I didn't do it well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's what happened.
Great news, guys.
So last night, it's been a busy week. We've
already established that.
We've established our busy week. So last night, we celebrated my son, and I got home, and I had a bunch of things to do, and I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden, it's 9:30, which is late for me.
Yes.
And I go, shit, I have to do a podcast tomorrow morning, early.
Yeah.
I don't know what movie I'm going to do.
Oh.
And we've talked about before, the selection process for a movie for this show, it's an art.
First you hem, and then you haul.
And then you just get down to brass
Right.
tacks.
And you're like, all right, pick it.
Yeah.
Choose it.
Let's do it. So this movie I had thought of was one of those movies that had floated to the top of my brain. And I went down our list of criteria for a film for this show. So here's the criteria. Uh-huh. And these are all the boxes this movie checks.
It's a movie.
Well, that's the first one. 1, movie. Mm-hmm. 2, it came out when we were younger.
Okay.
1987.
Great.
Actually, depending on the day, that it might be exactly April 17th, 1987, which might be the day that this podcast comes out. Or it's around there.
Sure.
Sure.
Let's say in the same week.
I did not see this movie in the movie theater.
Okay.
But definitely watched it on HBO. Watched a lot.
Okay.
When we were younger. So it's definitely a movie that is known in my family. I don't know that you've watched it.
Great. Okay. It's funny because our She Devil episode just came out.
Yeah.
And my sister texted me last night and she said, I've never seen this movie ever. I automatically assumed it was one of Emily's picks because you know.
Yeah. 3, it's a little controversial.
Okay.
There's a little stuff in there.
Okay.
For sure. Because my husband was telling me last night, because he was there as I was going through this whole process. And apparently him and your husband have been talking.
What?
Him and your husband have been talking
about
our podcast. And okay, first of all, I'm going to pause.
Okay.
There's something happening at your house right now.
There's a ghost.
There's a ghost. The lights are like flashing. It's like a serious poltergeist situation.
Serious. I'm scared.
I am. All right. But anyway, back to the thing. So our husbands, they've been talking.
Yeah. Well, they are friends.
They are friends. So your husband thinks that we don't pick movies that are actually controversial.
First of all, my husband doesn't even listen to the podcast.
Neither does mine.
Right.
And that's why I said, so Alex was like, and I said this movie, and I was like, no, this has got some controversy. He's like, no, I don't think it does. I was like, but you don't understand. And then he wanted us to watch The Stepford Wives.
Like, do they want us to pick something like, I don't know, Mein Kampf the movie or something like that? Like, I don't understand.
I don't understand either. And I feel like the premise of this show is that we watch movies that were movies we watched when we were younger, that it's not like it's controversy on the streets. It's like, would it hold up today? If it came out today, would it be a little like side-eyed? That's kind of what we're talking about here, right?
These two schmoes. My
husband, and I said to him, I'm like, because he wanted me to watch like the Nicole Kidman Stepford Wives.
From like the 90s or 2000s?
I think it was the early 2000s it came out. And I know,
like,
and I said to him, I'm like, do you even know what this podcast is? I would never, like, it doesn't fit. And he's like, what? No, it does. He's like, well, I think I want to watch it. I'm like,
great.
Good. Go watch it. Okay. What are we talking about here? And the fourth box that it's a movie. It came out in our youth. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit controversial.
All right.
And I think it's going to make you a little mad.
Oh, fudge. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, those are the criteria. So it's hit all of those.
Right.
So this movie stars someone who is definitely someone who I don't think has been on our podcast yet.
Okay.
But he should be.
They're famous.
He's famous.
Okay.
And he's like definitely famous in that time period. He still has a career.
Okay.
For sure.
Good for him.
He does. But I don't think that young people today who maybe know of him or other things he's done in his career have an understanding of like who he was in the 80s.
Okay.
And this guy, I'm just going to say who he is.
Who is he?
He's Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick. Awesome.
He wasn't in this. He has not been on our podcast yet, has he?
He has not, no.
No,
his wife has.
His wife has.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes. Matthew Broderick. So famously, Matthew Broderick was Ferris Bueller.
He sure was. But we're not going to watch Ferris Bueller. Why would we?
Well, why would we? That's right. Why would we?
Mm-hmm.
The other person in this movie has been on this show before, and her name is Helen Hunt. Okay.
Also with Sarah Jessica Parker.
I know, so many connections to Sarah. But we don't do a Sarah Jessica Parker time. We do a Spader time.
Okay.
But we're not there yet. So this movie, it was pretty well received. This is another movie, like, remember when you were doing the She Devil research? There just wasn't a lot.
Is this the War Games movie?
It's not the War Games movie.
Okay.
No, didn't go in that direction either. Roger Ebert said this movie, he gave it like a mixed review, and I feel like it's decent on the Rotten Tomatoes. It's like at a high 70s grade.
Okay.
So it's passing. Sure. But, is it an all-star?
Oh, thanks for bringing a turd to the podcast, Emily.
It's not a turd. I don't think it's a turd. I think it's, you know, it's a movie that came out. So it did. It's a movie. It
came out.
It did moderately well in the box office, grossing approximately $21 million. In the United States. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, the budget for this movie was $18 million. So it definitely made a little bit of money to it. And it's a science fiction movie, but it also has, but it's not science fiction in the sense that it's like fantastical. Uh-huh. It's more just in that world of, you know, but it's people who watched at the time probably thought that some of it was things that actually happen. Uh-huh. But it's not necessarily based on that. So I'm just going to tell you what this movie is.
Yeah, because you're not doing a good job otherwise selling it. You know, I have to say.
I told you, what I'm lacking this show in factual information about this movie, I'm bringing to the podcast energy. And you're not matching it. You were trying before, and you've given up.
I am matching it. I'm all in for some Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
Doing the movie
Project X.
I don't know what this is.
You've never heard of this movie?
No.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that's a little bit controversial about this movie. Okay. So this movie it stars Matthew Broderick. It's all about, he's a young Air Force pilot, and he is assigned to a top secret military experiment involving chimpanzees in air combat scenarios. She's so mad at me.
It's best if I don't speak.
So the project's goal is to test the effects of radiation exposure on pilots. But, you know, this also explores deeper themes of ethics in science experiments and animal rights.
What is it with you in these movies?
I blame my mom. Sorry, Mom. But these are the movies that she wanted to watch. And we watched this movie a lot.
What was the movie with the small woman? The shrinking woman?
The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Yeah. There was also a monkey in that. A primate.
Yes, but it wasn't real.
Gorilla.
This one is real. And so that's also why I thought it'd be good to talk about this. Because as I was thinking about this movie, they use actual chimpanzees in
Which
this
we've
movie.
established before, maybe not on the podcast, but both of us are very afraid of monkeys.
We are. Yes. And that's, so nowadays, I don't know that chimpanzees are that prevalent in entertainment.
Right.
Like
yeah.
if like Planet of the Apes, the newer Planet of the Apes with James Franco, those are all CGI.
Sure.
And that's usually what people will do in movies now. They'll CGI a chimpanzee, which is the better way to go.
Right.
But that's not what they did back in like the day.
No.
Back in the day, you had working apes. Are chimpanzees apes?
I don't know.
Are.
Like, you're going to piss people off, I think, because you're calling them two different things. Let's just stick with chimpanzee.
Chimpanzee.
That was the popular breed of monkey in the 80s, right? That's the one that Michael Jackson had.
Michael Jackson had a chimpanzee, Bubbles, that was with him. And
was
nobody
his
thought
pet.
it was right. And nobody was like scared for him.
No.
He would bring it places.
Right.
If I was somewhere and someone had a chimpanzee just like on them, like this is my pet and they're holding a chimpanzee, I would go into a level of fear and panic like if someone walked in with a gun.
For sure. I also don't like that sometimes people put them in diapers.
Well, you have to or there'd be poop everywhere.
But that's fucking disgusting.
How are they putting the diaper on the chimpanzee?
Right. Also, I think there was an incident, and I think that this is the inciting incident, as it were, in our youth, 20s maybe.
Sure.
Where a woman owned
Preach.
a chimpanzee or worked at a place with a chimpanzee.
It's the one where this was like the most famous thing.
Right.
And I do think that this was a turning point in culture
Right.
as well, because it was a huge story.
Yes.
So, like I said, back in the day, in the 80s, it was not unheard of to have a chimpanzee like on a show, in a movie.
Right.
They would
just bring them out on like talk shows and stuff, and they would like do their wobble walk out.
Yeah, in their diapers that Kim
in their
hates.
diapers. Shitting the whole way.
It was like it was a common thing on a TV show that, you know, this is the Different Strokes where there's a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Like it was just a thing
Right.
that happened a lot.
Okay.
So I want to say it was the 90s. There was a woman who she was not the person who owned
Right, but she like worked there or something?
No, she was the friend of the woman who had a chimpanzee
Okay.
that was a pet.
Well, I would not be your friend anymore.
No, I would be not like I would accept that.
No.
There would have to be something that seriously went wrong that I had the pet chimpanzee.
Okay, go.
Because what happens is people would get these chimpanzees when they're little and they're cute, right? When they're little. But then they get big, and once they go through puberty, then they're like, they're mean. And it's not that they're mean, they're animals, right? They're not meant to be kept as pets. And she had one that was probably more than she could handle anymore. It was kept in her house in a cage. And I think she was friends with it, so she would let it out. But it was at a point where she knew you couldn't, you
can't sneak up on that.
You can't sneak up on that chimpanzee. And she would keep it sedated a lot of the time. It was on medicine a lot of the time. So her friend was coming over just because, and this chimpanzee happened to not be in the cage at that time and was in a mood or something. And something set it off, and it attacked the woman, and it ripped her face off.
It sure did.
And she survived. It also ripped her hands off.
Yeah.
And it ripped, because that's how chimpanzees attack.
Right.
They rip pieces of you. They rip you apart.
Yes, your weakest pieces. So they tend to aim for the face and genitalia.
That's where they go first.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're a man, those balls are coming off.
Well, a lady has genitalia as well.
Yeah, but I don't know that,
I don't know. Guard yourself is all I'm saying.
Yes. No, absolutely. But it ripped her face clean off. She lived, though.
Yes.
And she did the talk show circuit afterwards.
Yeah.
But this was a story that brought up, because it was such a high-profile story, it brought up a lot of questions about, should people own these animals? Right. It's not safe to own these animals. And I think about that a lot in terms of, if you always see these shows, like Tiger King was a recent example of this, where you have people who are probably definitely ill-equipped to own a wild animal, but they get fascinated by them. And it's not terrible. My biggest takeaway from the Tiger King is that to buy a tiger is not much more expensive than buying a purebred dog.
Right.
And then you have a tiger.
Yeah. And
people just do it. And the laws around it, some states are easier than others.
It's a weird conversation.
I know. But at the same time, so chimpanzees freak me out. My children know that, stay away from those kind of wild animals. Okay. They will rip you apart. But I think, when I was reflecting on it, I do think that incident was a turning point. You don't see chimpanzees in things that much anymore. And I think it's because people now are like, oh wait, they could tear you apart at any moment.
Sure.
Yes. So yeah, this movie does use live chimpanzees. They were trained to perform tasks that were critical to the plot. Something I found interesting that I'm going to be interested watching this movie is that they don't use, the chimpanzee sounds are actually actors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they couldn't get, you can't get a chimpanzee to emote for you.
Okay.
So,
are there sad chimpanzees in this movie?
I think some of them are sad. I mean, they're being used for military experiments.
I don't want to watch it. I don't. I think we should just cancel.
No, we're going to watch it.
Let's just tell the people that we didn't do a podcast this week.
No.
They're not going to know.
Kim, we've come so far. But this movie also touches upon animal experimentation, which I do think that back in the 80s, early 90s, there was a big animal rights movement, at that time. PETA was a big thing. PETA. I think PETA makes more sense, but I know it's called PETA. You're right. Greenpeace.
Do you know?
I might, but, save the whales, save the dolphins. People were all about these kind of issues.
Yeah, I was in ecology club, I know.
When I was in middle school, I went around, made a little presentation about the whole tuna dolphin thing.
Oh, yeah.
And went from classroom to classroom giving presentations about it.
I think that was one of those things where it was just we were just upset to find out that there was a possibility of eating dolphins, and you were like, I've got to put an end to this.
Yeah, this has to
This is
stop.
horrible.
Wait, what? That was another thing. That was like the chimpanzee people, like, it tears people apart.
Yeah.
No, there's dolphins and tuna fish. Stop.
Well, that's when the big animal testing thing happened too, and like you would see all the companies come out and talk about like how their products weren't tested on animals or cruelty free. That was a big time for that in the 90s.
Yeah, and this definitely plays into those ethical issues of the treatment of animals for scientific research. But it also, because it's interesting that the movie is about the ethical treatment of animals in scientific research, but it also brought to bear the ethical treatment of animals in filmmaking.
Okay.
So after this movie came out, Bob Barker, who was the host of The Price is Right for many, many
Get your
years.
pet spayed and neutered.
He was a huge animal rights activist. So he kind of led the charge to have this movie investigated to see if they were actually treating the animals okay on set. And it was investigated. And at the time, they actually said that there were some misuse of animals on the set. Like it did not pass muster. So you had Bob Barker and the United Activists for Animal Rights. They accused the film producers of actual behind the scenes animal cruelty. And that sparked a government investigation.
Wow.
That showed multiple violations of animal welfare laws.
Wow.
But the American Humane Association that was responsible for overseeing the production, they denied those allegations.
Sure.
And eventually it all settled out. But, you know, I think it's interesting that that's what this movie is about. And it got accused of it as well at the same time. But yeah, it's definitely been noted for raising awareness about the use of animals in scientific experiments. I know that was my big takeaway from this. There is a chimpanzee in this movie that his character's name is Virgil.
Gross.
And I remember being really sad about Virgil.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
God, you're so mad about this. I knew you would be, though. And I kind of like, you know, I was thinking, because you were saying that there's movies we have to get to, you know, you wanted to get to a few movies because it's the end of the
This
thing.
wasn't one of them.
But I was thinking to myself, okay, before we end the season, what do I want to accomplish on this podcast? And I want to make you mad.
Well, you did it.
Well, I'm excited to watch this movie with you, if for no other reason than to just, like, you know, we're going to talk about it afterwards. So
That's what we do. That's what the premise of our podcast
my
is.
God. All right, great. But let's go watch this movie.
Confidently controversial.
And we're back.
Well, here we are, guys. Here we are.
Okay.
No time, virtually no time has passed at all. We swear.
All right, do you want to take them through what's happened in the short musical break that they've been listening to?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
Love to.
Do it.
So, guys, here we are. 1 week later.
We're older.
and more beautiful.
That's true.
However, here's what happened. So, last week, Emily came over. She picked her stupid movie, Project X. We went to go watch it, and nothing. It's not available anywhere.
No.
You cannot watch this movie.
Well-
Wait. You shush. You cannot watch this movie anywhere on television. There was one option to watch it and record it, which doesn't happen until like next week or something like that. We thought we found a version on YouTube, started to watch it, realized it was in French. And we don't understand French.
No, even though I think you took French for 4
I
years
did.
of your life.
I can't watch a whole movie in French. So then Emily was like, great, I'll order the DVD. She orders the DVD. She gets the DVD in the mail. She's like, I'm going to go watch it. Her DVD player doesn't work.
No, it's not that it doesn't work. I just don't know how to use it anymore. Like,
Okay.
it's not hooked up to my TV.
Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't work.
Okay.
Could not play the DVD.
Nope.
So here we are again.
1 week later.
Yes, we finally got the DVD to work and we watched the movie. And I've been dreading it all week.
You guys, Kim has, like, in this interim period of time that you have no idea about, Kim has tried so many different times to just kibosh this whole thing.
I tried to get into a huge fight with Emily so we could cancel this podcast.
Like, Kim was just basically like, let's just do something else. Like, obviously, the universe doesn't want us to do this. I'm like, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be great, even better now that we have this great story and this huge build up to watching this movie. So now we watched it. We just watched it.
We did just watch it.
We do the thing. We do the thing we promised we'll do. I don't even remember what I said in the first half of the show.
No, I mean, I feel like I need to remind you guys that we're watching Project X, but because
you've been here the
It's
whole time.
only been a few minutes.
Right.
For you.
But for us, we don't even remember what we said a week ago. Right. So I don't even know what you just listened to. But I do know this. That movie, I don't even know. I don't know that it was well worth the wait.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I liked it or not.
I think you did. I feel
might
like
have.
You were into it at certain points. I saw you. You were hype.
My tension had arose and I was on the edge of my seat at certain parts.
Yeah, it's an exciting movie.
I tried not to care about those monkeys, but I think I might have.
I know, they win you over in the end.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. So for those of you who do not remember this movie, I'm just going to give you the briefest of synopsises of what it is, because there's really not much to it, I would say. Essentially, there's this chimpanzee that you meet early in the movie, and his name is Virgil.
Oh, and just real quickly, I'm going to say we're going to call them monkeys and chimpanzees interchangeably because we don't know. We're not zoologists, okay?
We're not. We never said that we were.
No. So if we say monkey, we mean chimpanzee. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's wrong.
I don't care.
Deal with it.
Yeah, seriously. So this little guy, monkey, was out in the woods or wherever they live.
Woods?
Well, he was poached.
Oh,
he got poached.
Okay. They don't live in the woods, though.
I don't know where he was.
Okay.
He was out there just living his own little life, and he got poached, and he got taken to a research lab, like at a college.
The University of Wisconsin.
Yes, where he met dear sweet baby face Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Who's just so pretty.
Is she a baby face, though?
I don't know what her face is, but her face is pretty.
It's all right.
You don't think she's pretty?
No, I think she's pretty forgettable.
What?
Yeah.
I think she's very beautiful.
Okay.
But anyway, so Helen Hunt is a researcher, and she's trying to teach chimpanzees sign language for some reason. So she teaches Virgil sign language, and he's like the sweetest little monkey, and he gives her hugs, and he wants to fly.
And he wears a yellow polo shirt.
He does. She's very into him being stylish.
Yeah, and he pulls it off. He's got this like red hooded sweatshirt.
Yeah, like he's super like he picks up on the sign language. We learn apple quickly. He learns like he wants to fly. He's always pointing up in the sky.
He also knows help.
He also knows help. But anyway, so he learns this. But then what happens? Well, Helen Hunt loses her grant funding.
Yep.
And so they got to shut it down. And that's when we find out that how much does a chimpanzee cost?
Well, if you want to purchase a chimpanzee in 1987, it cost $15,000 with an annual upkeep of at least $10,000 for food and veterinarian bills.
Yeah. I feel like, that's reasonable if that's what your life is.
That's a lot of money. Plus diapers.
I guess. But I just feel like if you're someone who's dedicated to that, like what else? You can't have anything else going on in your life. Like you're a monkey person.
You're a monkey mom.
You're a monkey mom.
Right.
And you get a t-shirt that says that, and that's it.
Right.
But anyway, so she's real sad because they take away Virgil, but they tell her he's going to go to like a nice children's zoo somewhere. In Texas. So she's like sad, but okay. Cut to Virgil goes to the military. And he's in like a weird military lab, and that's where he meets Matthew Broderick.
Jimmy.
Who is in like he's a full Ferris Bueller. Like that's exactly the time period. In fact, a lot of the way he taught, everything, mannerisms, in fact, his character is very Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Because he's getting into trouble all the time.
He's a scamp.
He's not following those rules. So he somehow ends up, he wants to fly fighter jets, but instead he is cleaning up monkey poop.
But we understand he's a legacy.
He's a legacy. He's got a dad who did something great
in the military, so that he's got a lot to live up to.
He does have a lot to live up to, but I also feel like in this case, it's like, well, we can't, because his dad was great, we're not going to just like kick him out of the military.
Despite the fact that he stole a plane.
He stole a plane and had sex with a girl in it. Like that's basically what they say. And So he's now working in this experimental thing, which at first he's just like, oh God, this is crazy. But then he meets Virgil, who is a sweetie pie monkey. And Virgil gives him hugs, and he's like, okay.
This isn't so bad.
This isn't so bad. And then he realizes that Virgil knows sign language, so, like, he's really excited about that he's figured that out, and it's real great. But then, and because Matthew Broderick's doing so well, he gets a promotion. And that's when he finds out the real of what they're doing here in this experimental lab, which is they take these chimpanzees who they have taught to. I forgot to tell you that they teach them how to fly in flight simulators. Yeah. Which are like crazy looking flight simulators that have giant old fashioned TVs affixed to them. And they're like this very old fashioned looking graphic, computer graphic screens.
Like flight simulation.
So they teach these monkeys how to fly. Ultimately, what happens, and Jimmy only finds this out once he's promoted, is that they get taken into this special simulator where they fly, and then in the midst of their flight, they do a nuclear pulse of like radiation. They radiate the monkey to see how long.
Shock the monkey.
I don't like how you looked right in my eye when you sang that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that song in a second because it is in this movie. So they radiate the monkey, and then they want to see how long it can still fly before it dies, because the test is if there was a nuclear war, World War III, could our pilots get to Russia to drop a bomb and retaliate?
Despite the fact that they've been radiated.
Yes, and are dying in the airplane while they're flying. So that's what they're trying to figure out. But the monkey dies after this happens.
It does.
So then it never comes back. So yeah.
So you got all these dead chimpanzees.
Just on your hands. Just laying out on tables in the middle. Dead radiated chimpanzees. Right. They just leave
that
out
they take no care of or...
No, they just throw it on a slab, put it in the locker room.
Don't lock the door or anything.
No, it's just out there.
Yeah.
So then it's real sad, and then it becomes, oh my gosh, Virgil, and I have to save Virgil, and I have to save these other chimpanzees.
Right.
So he
calls Helen Hunt.
He calls, because that's what you do.
Right. In an emergency,
call Helen Hunt. He gets Helen Hunt on the phone, and he's like, I got your monkey. Come here and get it. And then they end up culminating in, I forgot so much about this movie, but the way this movie culminates is that the chimpanzees steal a plane, or Matthew Broderick steals a plane, but the chimpanzees are in it. And then the military arrests Matthew Broderick and Helen Hunt. And so it's just the chimpanzees in the plane. So they fly it off the base and they land it in the Everglades, and then they're free.
And they live happily ever after.
Yay!
Except Florida now has monkeys.
But I wouldn't doubt that there's some loose chimps somewhere out there, because I feel like
chimps.
Well, because I feel like all those people who own those kind of animals, like those kind of people,
they're like, I got in over my head. I didn't realize this was going to cost $10,000.
Just let it go in the Everglades. Let it go. This seemed real good when I was on that Beth High, and now I have a chimpanzee. So
I'm Michael Jackson, goddammit. I don't have time for a monkey.
Oh, R.I.P. So yeah, I feel like there's probably so many exotic animals
just living off the land.
Oh, I got you. You know that that happens. It has to happen all the time. And I also feel like in Florida, it's probably not as regulated.
Oh, you think it's just mostly Florida?
I think that Florida is probably a hot spot for people who own exotic animals.
Fair.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it's true, but it's true.
Florida is a hot spot for people who've made bad decisions about animals.
That's right. That's right. It's just like, well, I'm just going to let it go in the Everglades. It's either going to get eaten by a croc or it's going to multiply and be like a real problem. But by that time, I'm going to have forgotten about all this and nobody's going to be able to connect me to it. So
I'll get a dog.
Yes, and I'm going to move to another state. So, when the chimpanzee takeover happens, I'll be in Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah, and it'll be fine.
Right.
I think, because, I definitely watched this movie as a child.
A lot.
We watched it enough. Like, I feel when it was on HBO, we definitely watched it. Mm-hmm. I remembered enough of it. Mm-hmm. I did not remember the ending.
No,
a lot of it was a surprise to me.
Guys.
What?
Guys.
Yeah.
Emily cried.
Okay. I got by this movie. I knew it was sad. Your husband remembered it was sad because your husband kept coming in going, oh, you guys are watching the sad monkey movie?
Right.
I'm like, yeah. Well, there's the one part where one of the chimps, like
Goliath.
The
smoking chimp.
Oh, he's a smoking chimp. He loves a cigarette. People just smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
In the 80s, you just, like, if you're in the middle of your work day, you don't have to, like, walk out of the building or nothing.
No. You can smoke around the monkeys. They don't care.
Smoke around the nuclear reactor.
Right.
It's fine.
There's, like, some guy comes in for a tour and he's got a full-on pipe.
I know. It's crazy.
When was the last time someone smoked in an office? Like or is there still people that do that?
I'm sure if, like, people own their own offices, I gotta think that, like, I don't know. I'm sure it happens all over the place. In Russia. Right. It's happening right now in Russia.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Those Eastern Bloc countries, it never went away.
And France.
And France.
They do love a cigarette there.
Never stopped. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, they don't do that anymore. I remember I feel like when I was first entering the workplace, there were still a lot of people that smoked.
So, but everybody went outside.
Everybody had to go outside, but nobody was smoking inside.
But when we were hanging out in bars and stuff like that, you could still smoke in bars.
Yes, you could still smoke in bars, but then that went away in our, like, late 20s.
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, people just smoke anywhere. But there's this one chimpanzee that they say worked in the circus, and he's very motivated by smoking cigarettes.
Yes.
So he gets caught where this, like, he has to save the day. I can't get into all of it. He just has to save the day, but he's already been radiated, and he's dying.
He's already been nucleared.
He'd always been nucleared, and he's dying. And he saves the day, though. Matthew Broderick gets him to save the day by, like, getting some fire extinguisher. I don't know. But anyway, like, just the way that Matthew Broderick keeps saying, like, good boy, like, it reminds me of, like, when your dog,
you're cry again?
No, but I'm telling you what it reminds me of, which made me cry. It reminds me of, like, when you're putting your dog to sleep.
Stop.
And you're just telling your dog, like, what a good boy they were.
Would you
like,
stop?
But that's what it was. He was just like, you're a good boy. You're so
Jesus.
good. And I was like, which I'm going to cry right now thinking about.
Holy shit.
But that's what it reminded me of.
Oh my goodness.
As someone who had I had some semblance of knowledge of this movie coming into it. But you didn't have really any.
No, none.
Like, none.
So
what are your feelings?
I think that's why it didn't get me. Like, I was worried in the beginning because I did start to feel for those monkeys. But then at the same time, I just felt like it was so just, like, wild. Like, there was just, like, so much stuff that happened that I was just like, this isn't real. And I feel like the movie was done fine, but it wasn't a cinematic masterpiece or anything like that.
It tried to be. That one shot, well, that was the problem. Like, when Goliath gets radiated, it's like the way that they do it, because I feel like the director wanted to get these, like, these shots of these monkeys just looking dead into the camera.
Shots of monkeys.
Shots of monkeys.
That's what he said on set. He was like, let's get some shots of monkeys.
It did. At least one day someone said that. You know it happened.
For sure.
So it's in slow-mo.
Right.
What's happening.
But then it also goes to, like, other weird pictures of, like,
well, no, it's like a stop motion. Like, it'll be like a flash, and it'll be like one shot of the monkey making like a funny monkey face, and then it'll be like flash, and like another shot of the monkey making like a silly monkey face.
Yeah, but like the lips are all curled up and everything, and they're like, "Rah!"
Don't make that monkey
Oh,
face.
and also, this is one thing I did remember from the first half that you told us was that the monkeys didn't make the sounds that people made the sounds. So there's one point where the monkeys are all freaking the fuck out.
Because that's when Virgil finds the dead body of one of the chimps that was radiated.
Back.
And he figured it out. And he goes and tells all the monkeys.
Yeah. And he does that by, like, screaming and yelling. But all you can think about is this monkey standing there going, ah, ah. But then at the same time, you think about the person that make those monkey sounds.
Emote. I want you to emote more. You're telling the monkeys about that they need to stop flying the planes, that it's bad what they're doing.
Right.
That's what you're telling them. Now tell me that in monkey voice.
And then all those monkeys are freaking out. And I really am concerned about how they got the monkeys to freak out. Because those monkeys are, like, baring their teeth and being all like, mad.
Like, that's the other thing that I do remember we talked about in the first half, is how scared we are by monkeys. And that is certainly the case. Like, there were definitely some times, and I don't know if you remember there's one scene where Matthew Broderick is going to give Virgil like some sort of snack, like in some sort of like package. And Virgil's like, no, I don't want it. And he like goes to the back of the crate. But then there's another chimpanzee in the cage next to him who kind of has his arm out. It's like a bigger one. And Matthew Broderick's like, oh, do you want this? But like, Matthew Broderick kind of like hesitates, like gives it to him real fast.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like that, and this was at a point in the movie where his character was supposed to have had a comfort level with this chimps. And I just thought, oh, that's Matthew Broderick being afraid to give this chimpanzee. He knows he has to hand this chimpanzee.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, they shot the movie in a way that there's not a lot of, besides Virgil, who is very interactive with the actors and actresses in the movie.
And he looks like a baby chimp, too.
Yeah, I don't feel like the other ones were given as much access to the talent.
Well, they were bigger.
Yeah,
so you got
way bigger.
They were way bigger. So those were adult, and they were probably, like, those are the kind of chimps that really could rip you limb to limb. And there was that one scene in the end when they all get out. They all get loose. And the scientists and the military guys like all go in there and they want to like shut it down. Oh my God. They do try to shut. What did they do, Kim? What did they do?
I can't do it.
Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, the one is fighting with the scientist, and that like he was really in there with them, and then they run out of the room, and I feel like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that monkey was pissed.
It was pissed, and the other thing that I noticed was that they didn't have. I feel like again, times have changed so much. First of all, you would never make that movie with real chimpanzees.
No. But you know what I did think about?
What?
Remember when we watched Gremlins and you told me that they originally thought about making the Gremlins be monkeys in suits?
Yes! Oh my God. Can you imagine?
All I could think about was those monkeys as Gremlins.
Little masks on their heads.
Right. Because the Gremlins do act like monkeys. Like they're very like mischievous like the Gremlins were.
Well, yeah, like when the monkeys get out at the end of this movie, they're using microwaves just like the Gremlins.
Right.
They're
just like the Gremlins.
They're like wrecking snack machines.
Turning on and off light switches.
Oh yeah, they're in full Gremlins.
Yeah. If there was a movie theater, they would have gone to see a film.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, like they were doing all the stuff.
Right.
So I feel like the movie on its own, the other thing I thought of, because we were talking about being younger and watching these things, there were a lot of movies, and so far we've covered 3 of them. This is the 3rd movie in our first year of doing this that has been about an 80s movie that's about animal testing. So the other one that was The Secret of Nim.
Right.
And then in
Incredible
Shrinking Woman, and then this. And all 3 of them are like nefarious government agencies that are, and I guess that's still a prevalent thing in film today. But was that always the case? Like, did people always have that high level of distrust of the government?
I don't know. I assume so.
I assume so as well. Yeah,
I mean,
so.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Of course.
Sure. The people in power.
Well, think about,
skeptical of them.
That's why people do wars, Emily.
You know nothing about doing a war. You know nothing.
I could do a war if I wanted to.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't even get in a fight with me for a long period of time. You couldn't do a war.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I think that's a bigger thing with me. Like, I don't know. That's this must have been so prevalent. And like I was saying, I remember a week ago talking about PETA, and sorry, I still didn't learn how to say it in the past week. But those like Greenpeace.
Yeah.
You know, those were so prevalent.
World Wildlife Federation.
Yes, like having those stickers were everywhere. And I mean, I remember as a kid giving to Greenpeace.
Oh, okay.
Like I would put a $5 bill in an envelope. Right. And I would send it. And then I would get all kinds of other mail from them. I get stickers in the mail sometimes because they didn't know that I was just like, you know, a 12-year-old sending them $5.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do think that, I kind of think about these movies and I think that maybe possibly there were people that were trying to warn people of things that were happening, or like they were like trying to like expose.
Like movies, like messages?
Movies with messages. Yes, Emily, movies with messages.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't ever have to see this
I'm
movie
guaranteeing
again.
you that, like, Matthew Broderick and Helen Hunt read this script and they were like, yeah, this movie's going to do something. It's going to change the world. We're going to save the monkeys.
It was a big movie. It did okay. It did okay.
Yeah.
But I think
You can't tell by its availability on popular television channels these days.
Yeah, and who knows why that is.
Yeah, why is that? It's a conspiracy. They've tried to bury this movie.
The government saw that and they were just like, oh no, they figured it out.
They don't want you to see it.
They say in the beginning
it's based on a true story, yeah, or based on true events.
I mean, they're testing things with monkeys.
Don't tell anyone, guys.
They are. You know they are.
Oh, of course they are.
They're testing things on humans.
Yes.
I mean, we have a history of that as well in this
sure
country.
do, yeah.
We're not that great.
Mm-hmm. I like to think that all monkeys are being tested with only lipstick products. like beauty products. So you know how like you sometimes get those products and it'll be like not tested on animals. Whenever I see that, I think about the ones that are tested on animals, and I immediately think of animals with lipstick on.
Pretty little animals, or like, all done up for a ball,
or like hairspray in their hair and stuff like that. Don't you?
I used to know someone who. That was his job out of college. He worked for a lab.
He put lipstick on animals?
No, but he did test products on animals. He did test.
Stop.
And he was always, but he was real sad about it.
Oh, God.
And, and he was always trying to get people to have chinchillas as pets, because I think it was chinchillas. So he'd be like, well, I can just get you chinchilla, like, just take one of these chinchillas.
And he has really good hair.
He's beautiful.
I use conditioner on him every day.
He's the most beautiful, softest chinchilla you'll ever be in your entire life. But yeah, it was pretty funny at the time. But I think he was real sad about
that. Guy's fucked up now. He's like real messed up. He thinks about it every night before he goes to sleep.
That guy's dead now. Yeah.
He is? Oh.
He is.
Oh, man. Sorry, guy.
But
they're not related.
No. These things were definitely not related.
God.
So do you want to do you have anything else that you needed to say about this movie?
No. I'm good.
Was it worth the 1 week wait?
It was not. But, I mean, am I glad I watched it? A little bit.
Are you glad that I made you watch it? I own this on DVD now.
We can watch it whenever we want now. Don't tell the government.
I will never. I mean, obviously, I don't have
They know. They got a report from Amazon this week that was just like, here's the people that bought Project X on DVD, and it was just your name.
They're like, no one's bought this movie in years.
Send them to Jersey, guys. Somebody's got to go to New Jersey.
I go home and there's like a weird station wagon in front of my house with some guy in it.
Right.
Like,
smoking a pipe.
Smoking a cigarette. I'm like, nobody even does that anymore. He must be from the government. Right. There's government cigarettes.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't ever have to see this movie again. It's all right. I mean, if you have a fond memory about it, and you might have a fond memory about Virgil.
I do have to say something else.
You have the floor.
I believe that they ingratiated us to the monkeys by putting them in those black diapers.
Oh, yeah. Tell your theory about the diapers.
So we talked about monkeys wearing diapers, and you always usually see them in those white baby diapers. But in this movie, they had them all in black diapers. So they very much blended in with their fur. Like, you could barely tell that they were wearing diapers because they matched their skin. And you also couldn't see their shiny heinies. Like,
they have like pink heinies.
Right. And you couldn't see that because it was covered with the black diaper.
Yes.
And I feel like that made them more likable. They definitely.
I don't understand the more likable.
No, it made them cuter because you're not looking at their butt. You're not thinking about the fact
the poop
that they stink to high heaven.
Ugh.
And when they hug you, that their butts are on you.
Okay.
So I just think the black diapers helped a lot. So if you get a monkey and you want people to like it,
if you get a monkey and you want people to like it, okay,
put on a black diaper. Put black diapers on it.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
Okay, you're not paying attention to me because I know what's happening.
Tell the people what's happening.
Emily forgot what the spader is. She's panicking right now, and she's half pretending to listen to what I'm saying so she can look up what the spader is. So let's wait.
Okay.
Did you figure it out? Is it a direct connect? Tell the people, Emily.
Kim,
what's going on?
Okay. First of all, I'm going to need you to pause that for a second.
All right, guys. We'll be back in a second.
All right, Kim just figured it out.
Kim saves the day again.
Go ahead, Kim, say it.
No, you say it. It's your thing.
Well, now I forget. No, you said that. Okay. So
Helen
you have
Hunt.
Helen Hunt, who was in this movie, was in As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson, who was in Wolf with James Spader.
Yeah.
We did it.
I did it.
Okay.
Let the record show.
Let the record show. All right, listen, guys. To you, this is just an episode. To us, this has been an epic adventure.
Journey.
It's an epic adventure. And I think we have one more episode in this season.
No. Don't we have 52? This is 49?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
We'll figure it out. But anyway, I want to thank all you guys for listening to us talk about these movies. We appreciate you. I would even go so far as to say we love you.
We do.
We do. Like, I would hug you, probably. Maybe not.
As
Kim
long
would be
as-
like, don't hug that person.
Yeah.
Kim wouldn't hug you. I might.
You might.
If I had, like, a drink.
Right.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
definitely hug you. If
Emily
I had,
would
like,
get sloppy and whisper in your ear. She'd be like, hello, I like you. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't, guys. Don't believe what she says. But yeah, we love you guys a lot. We're glad that you're listening. You're subscribing to the podcast, which we appreciate. You know, if you're feeling it, if you're feeling kind of sass, go on to Apple Podcasts and write a review of our podcast. And when you write that review, I'm going to expect a 5-star.
Well, listen, we're not going to beg for numbers here, but follow your heart.
Follow your heart and soul. And I would say if you've made it this far in the podcast, you like us.
And just remember, we just confessed our love to you. So that should probably impact your score.
Like, even if you don't love us back, like, be nice about it. Don't be a jerk.
Don't be rude.
Yeah,
Just break
so-
up with us later.
Yeah, seriously. Say it tonight. It'll be fine. And then tomorrow you can just take that shit back.
Right. Don't call us.
It's fine. It's happened before. So go ahead, write us a review, and then follow us on Instagram.
Okay.
And then follow us on the TikTok.
Okay.
And I guess Facebook now.
We've been on Facebook.
We've been on Facebook. We haven't really done anything with it, though. But then my dad shared it with the world, and now all of a sudden we have followers on Facebook. So there you go.
Okay. What do you have to tell the people?
I want to tell the people to, if you are ever find yourself in a room full of chimpanzees, I think the best thing to do is to be confident.
Okay.
And just be confident. Don't engage. Don't be aggressive or assertive. Just confidently get yourself out of there.
Protect your genitals.
Protect your genitals and get out the door. But don't be controversial and try and keep one as a pet and put a shirt on it and try and make it like your child. You have, if that's something you want to do, you have bigger problems and you need to go to therapy and talk about
Yeah, that
what those
monkey's not
problems
going to
are.
make you happy.
It's not. It's not going to fulfill your life. It's probably going to rip your face off.
Most likely.
Okay. We love you guys. Watch out for chimpanzees.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Confidently controversial.